Welcome. Today we're going to be looking at group factoring. Now in group factoring, we've done difference of squares where we had two terms. We've done trinomials, three terms, where we did basic factoring and smiley face factoring. And today we're going to be working with group factoring, which is four terms. So in group factoring, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at these first two terms. Most of the time you do not need to reorder these problems, but occasionally you do. I will not be giving you any you have to reorder. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the first two terms and try to take out something they have in common, typically a GCF, greatest common factor. In this case, B is the only thing they have in common. So if I factor out a B, what's left in the parentheses here would be 5a plus 3b, because b squared divided by b is b to the first. Now when I look at the next parenthesis, I include the sign all the way to the end. So the sign between the second and the third gets included with the second half. I want to factor out something out of those last two so that I end up with the exact same interior parenthesis that I did in the first one. So in this case, they're both negative. So I'm going to pull out a negative because these are both positive, and if I don't pull out a negative, they won't be both positive. But then I also see that they have a c in common, and to get 5, I'd have to pull out a 2, which they both have in common. So negative 2c is what I'm going to factor out. If I were factoring at a positive 2c, I'd put a plus sign there instead of a minus sign, because it's this expression minus this expression in this case. So I factor out negative 2c. I'm dividing each of these by negative 2c. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. The c's cancel and a is left inside. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is a positive 3, and c's cancel, b is left inside. Now if you notice, the two red interiors of the parentheses are identical. And in the same way I took a b out of both of these, I'm going to take the parenthesis out of both of these expressions. So I'm going to take this 5a plus 3b, and then the other parenthesis, I'm going to take these two things and just move them into the other parenthesis, b minus 2c. And that's group factoring. Once you've gotten to this point, you've factored it. This is only an intermediate step. You have to get down to here. So there is your group factoring. In this example, I'm going to do the same steps we just did. I'm going to look at the first two, and factor out, I think they have a 7 and an x to the second in common. When I factor that out, that leaves me with x minus 3 inside. Now, there's another way you could approach these for the second half, and that is, what would I have to multiply times x to get this first term? And that, in this case, would be 8. So a positive 8, times x would give me 8x. Boy, I don't like that. So let's fix that. That's better. And then when I factor out an 8 from both of these, which it darn well better come out of both of them, 8x divided by 8 is x. Negative 24 divided by 8 is negative 3. And that is exactly what I wanted. I wanted my two parentheses to be identical. I'm now going to factor out the x minus 3 from these two and put these two in their own parentheses. Group factoring. these two problems and see how you do. I'll give you a few minutes to work on that. Pause it. When you unpause it, I'll go over it with you. All right, let's take a look. This has a 3x squared I can factor out. That leaves me with 2x minus 3 inside. Again, I'm going to factor something out of here. Now, a lot of people will factor out 5, which is what they have in common. The problem is, if you only factor out a positive 5, then what you end up with inside here is negative 2x plus 3, which is not what we have in this one. These two have to be identical. And I need, in this case, not to pull out a positive 5, but I have to pull out a negative 5. Which means when I divide negative 10x by negative 5, I get a positive 2x. 15 divided by negative 5, on the other hand, is a negative 3. So now that I'm here, I've got identical parentheses of 2x minus 3, and the other two go in their own parenthesis, 3x squared minus 5. Hopefully you got that one right. If not, now you know how to do it. Let's take a look down here and repeat the basic process here. First two, 7. That leaves me with x plus 3y. I'm going to take out a negative a. That's going to leave me with x plus 3y again. So my final answer here is x plus 3y, 7 minus a. And group factoring is done once again. Last example. Give that one a try, see what you can do. All right, here we go. Let's see, that would be x squared only taken out, giving me 2x minus 3 inside. And over here, what times 2x gives me negative 20x, negative 10. So that's what I'm going to factor out. And that leaves me with 2x minus 3. So my final answer, 2x minus 3, x squared minus 10. And that's it for today. Have a great day.